Better Call Saul is one of the greatest spin-off shows of all time, and in many aspects it actually surpasses its original source material, which is pretty insane since Breaking Bad is one of the best shows of all time and stands still as one of my personal favorites. It follows the rise and fall of lawyer Jimmy McGill, or his pseudonym as we all know him, Saul Goodman. With a supporting cast of dense and interesting characters, it held its ground as one of the best shows out there today. It ended last year in an emotional and beautiful season with all-star performances from the entire cast and super memorable and crazy moments, really bringing the story together and ending off Jimmy McGill's story. Bob Odenkirk, Rhea Seehorn, Jonathan Banks, Giancarlo Esposito, Michael Mando, Tony Dalton, Patrick Fabian, the list goes on and on. The cast was filled with extraordinary actors. Over the course of its 6-season run, the series won massive acclaim from fans of Breaking Bad and critics alike. Some went as far as to say that it was better than Breaking Bad, calling it a masterpiece, which is a huge compliment. Now, I know that award shows and prestige of that nature really isn't the end-all say-all. Just like the Oscars and the Golden Globes and all those, it really is just one big party celebrating the best of the best, but whether it really means anything in the grand scheme of things is up for debate. The Emmys is no different, but as the Oscars of television, there's a crime that has been committed. An absolute robbery, one that must be paid for Salamanca style. Okay, maybe not that far, but believe it or not, Better Call Saul has been robbed again and again with every passing year. Better Call Saul didn't win a single Emmy award for the entirety of its run since 2015. Today, we'll be shedding a little light on this catastrophe and looking at just some of the shows or people that Better Call Saul ended up losing to, as well as the sad timing of Bob Odenkirk's Emmy losses. Before we get started, be sure to like this video and hit the sub button to stay up to date with the latest in TVs and movies. Thanks for the support, and let's get started. So it all starts in 2015. The first blow came from Game of Thrones, which took home the award for Outstanding Drama Series, which is the best award you can win at the Emmys. It's essentially the best picture type of award, but for television. At its peak, Game of Thrones is definitely a valid pick to take home that award over Better Call Saul, especially since it was just started airing in 2015, and the first few seasons of Better Call Saul were really good, but it's really later on in the last 2 seasons that the show becomes a masterclass. Can't be mad at that pick to start. That same year, Bob Odenkirk lost to John Hamm for his role in Mad Men. Hamm's performance as Don Draper is really amazing, so there's no harm there. Fast forwarding to the following year, and once again, Game of Thrones snatched the Emmy for Best Drama. Odenkirk lost to Rami Malek for Best Lead Actor. Now once again, it's tough because Mr. Robot is really an amazing show and I do love it personally. And Rami Malek absolutely nailed his performance as the socially anxious hacker Elliot. But whether or not Bob Odenkirk should have taken that award is up for debate. So as moving on, 2017 rolled around and the 69th Emmy Awards marked yet another loss for Better Call Saul, with The Handmaid's Tale winning for the Best Drama Series. I've never personally seen The Handmaid's Tale, and I've heard many things about it, but somehow I have my doubts that it's better than the quality of Better Call Saul in many regards. But again, I haven't really seen that show, and still, I will say that Better Call Saul was only on its 3rd season at this point, but even still, it's superior television. The following year, Better Call Saul was nominated at the Emmys, but fast forward to 2019, where it once again lost to Game of Thrones. Bob Odenkirk, on the other hand, lost the award for Best Lead to Billy Porter on the show Pose, a show I've literally never heard of, so I can't fully comment on the performance. That same year, Giancarlo Esposito and Jonathan Banks, Gus and Mike on the show, lost to Peter Dinklage for his portrayal of Tyrion in Game of Thrones. I must say Dinklage is amazing in the show, so I can actually see him taking that award. And as a side note, Jonathan Banks was nominated for supporting actor for every year I've mentioned so far, but has won none of them. The following year, 2020, the losses would just continue, specifically losing the Best Drama Series to Succession, which would go on to dominate the Emmys for the years to follow. At this point, Better Call Saul is peak television and nearing its epic finale, while Succession was early on in its beginnings. This same year, Bob Odenkirk was not even a nominee, and Giancarlo Esposito once again lost his category as supporting actor. Another note is that Rhea Seehorn, Kim on the show, was not a nominee at all up until this point for supporting actress, which in itself is pretty wild. 2 years later, it would once again lose to Succession, and Bob would once again lose the trophy to Best Actor to Lee Jung-jae in his role in Squid Game, which, don't get me wrong, was a phenomenal performance, but to me, Bob Odenkirk takes the edge, but just barely. But surely in its final 6th season, as top-tier TV and a masterclass in writing, acting, and cinematography, I'm sure it'll win something, right? Well, cue the 75th Emmy Awards, which just happened a few weeks ago actually, since the making of this video. And the nominees for the Best Drama Series read Succession, Andor, Better Call Saul, The Crown, House of the Dragon, The Last of Us, The White Lotus, and the Yellow Jackets. And without surprise, Succession once again took the prize home over Better Call Saul. In terms of Best Actor, Bob Odenkirk would receive the final blow against Kieran Culkin in his role as Roman Roy in Succession. In the same vein, Rhea Seehorn would lose to Jennifer Coolidge in her role in The White Lotus, closing this crime for good. And with that, any chance of Better Call Saul ever winning an Emmy was lost. Looking back at its track record, the show, its actors, and its producers were nominated for 53 different Emmy nominations, which is insane, but what's even more insane is that it didn't win a single one of those. Better Call Saul surpassed all expectations, at least for me personally, and was able to somehow match the level that Breaking Bad did a decade before it. Award shows at the end of the day don't mean that much, but it really is a huge crime and a massive snub that Better Call Saul was never rewarded for its high honor, and for it being a masterpiece in many ways. While there are some great entries and wins from other shows that deserve the recognition, like Game of Thrones at its prime, Succession, Mad Men, Mr. Robot, and others, it just ain't right. Perhaps it was a timing thing, and maybe Better Call Saul never found its footing in terms of popularity or timeliness like the other shows did, but one thing is for sure, is that it made groundbreaking steps forward for television and stands as one of the best spin-offs I've ever seen. We don't know what's in store for Vince Gilligan and the producers and all the actors of the show, but whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be amazing. So, with all that, let me know below what you think of this massive snub, and if you liked this video, please be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with the latest content just like this. Also, while you're here, check out some of our other videos on the screen right now. Thank you for watching, and catch you on the next video.